Good morning, everybody. It is the 19th of November. I'm feeling pretty good today, a lot better than yesterday at least. And we got a market that's moving and doing some interesting things since we last spoke. So let's go to the charts, pull up our volume profile here. So in the E-mini, of course, things started out like okay. I mean, we had a little bit of a come down off of the open and then up, and this was just really incredibly slow. Some of the slowest, choppiest action I have seen in such a long time. And then it just really fell apart going into the close. In fact, I believe if we come here to our model here, did it close below the line? It did. So we have seen many times where it will get below this break-even line and then struggle to even come back above this break-even line. It's quite rare, but those are like strong trend days. And literally every single time I've seen it, it might take it in the overnight, like this hour after the NYSE closes, they will close up above it. But this time we didn't. We just stayed down. So they have found value down here. It has been accepted, and some major players got wiped out and have just eaten the losses. Right. Back to the volume profile in the treasuries, we saw the treasuries pushing down pretty aggressively yesterday, and even going into the close it was pushing down because of the supply coming from that big 20-year auction, where again the demand doesn't seem very good. So that is a little bit concerning that rates are rising because of that. They can't handle all of the debt issuance, which actually gets interesting when you look at Bitcoin, which we'll do in a second. Since then, pulled back a little bit. Should be expected. Oil down a little bit. Now, keep in mind that a lot of the driver for this action has been concerns about coronavirus. New York closing their schools, for instance. But oil is not significantly affected. It seems that the impacts from the supply issues are more important, although not a whole lot of news now for oil overall. Gold coming in here. Gold a little bit lower. And why is that? Because the dollar, I'm going to come over here, the dollar rising pretty significantly overnight. A lot of currencies retreating. Interestingly enough, note that, the euro is down, but that's not like an unusual move, but we're also seeing a lot of strength in other currencies. So, yeah, the yen, not so much. British pound. How's the British pound doing? I need to pull some of these other ones up, but, like the Australian dollar and all of these other ones were kind of getting weak. So, and then finally, Kappa had, this interesting pullback, and since then a little bit lower. So that's a little bit concerning. Again, copper, a really good proxy for global growth. So, and then finally, Bitcoin. We come back over here for Bitcoin. You have to really expand it up. So they're starting to trade, you'll note here. So this is a 1,000 volume on the Bitcoin futures. Notice that the bars are becoming quite wide. So the volatility has increased as the price has increased. But the number of bars that I'm getting per day has not necessarily increased substantially, which is kind of interesting. But it seems to me that the volume is not in the Bitcoin futures, even though I'm sure that they're trading like all-time volume highs. So this is kind of a weird one. And, well, they've been back and forth here. They're still kind of around that 1800 area, which is where we were yesterday. Bitcoin to the, well, I don't know. You think that they're going to, I'm surprised that they haven't gone for the 20K already. But here again, if Bitcoin is primarily speculation, then these other developments that we've seen in the market should be a little bit concerning, right? The dollar moving up, that's concerning. Treasuries moving down, that's concerning for Bitcoin, except for that the reason that treasuries are moving down is because of supply from foreign governments, or not foreign governments, but governments pumping supply out there, issuing a lot of debt. And if Bitcoin is supposed to be a proxy to escape from government debt, then Bitcoin should do well. Right? But here again, if the market is going to fall apart, and I mean, the market coming down off of like New York closing schools, though, and even we had some positive vaccine news overnight too, and the London traders just puked on it, right? So they're still very concerned about the coronavirus stuff. Then I'd be really concerned if we saw another significant decline in the indexes, that you would see another significant decline in Bitcoin. But for now, that hasn't happened yet. You're way more concerned about Ethereum? Well, there are some problems with Ethereum over there, right? I was a little concerned when I heard that developing Ethereum 2.0 has been harder than they thought it was going to be. That I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the whole proof of stake thing, right? But I guess that's because I would rather mine. All right, let's pull the text to speech. You know what? I don't have a something to dab my eyes, so I'll be right back. Ethereum 2.0 is taking forever. Yeah. Now, you know, something that I find interesting, maybe it's just me, but I don't really hear a whole lot about the rest of the cryptocurrency space these days. I mean, I see every once in a while, I don't really follow anybody, but I see people talking about, oh, maybe I'll go into altcoin soon, yada, yada, yada. But then I don't see anything. And I haven't heard about what's the new hot coin and stuff. I know there was some in Ethereum and like stable coins for a while, but like that's all kind of died down. I don't know where the deal is. For the next presidential election, it might be wise to use the blockchain. Well, I think that using blockchain technology in an election is an interesting idea. I haven't really seen it like a real proof of concept yet, you know? But I think that given the kinds of issues that Republicans are talking about, that might not resolve the whole problem. Because there's one side where you say they didn't count the ballots correctly, or Trump voters weren't counted. You know, I saw this one instance where somebody said that, you know, it was a small race in a small town or something, and they know like the 30 people or so that voted for them, but they only got 11 votes. Things like that. I can't wait for the next Chinese fund. Well, how is that? Are they still mining 90% of Bitcoin over there in China? Because I thought that was all getting shut down. I guess they said that it was going to happen and then didn't do it. I'm sure. Yep, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm at some point it's all going to get shut down. Let's come over here, check Twitter, shall we? I'm not ruling out a Trump re-election. JP Morgan AMCM CIO fears remote risk of American Horror Story. Yeah. It couldn't get any wilder at the Wayne County Board of Canvassers. The Republican members are now seeking to rescind certification despite the fact that the motion officially passed, certification papers were signed, and records were sent to the Secretary of State this morning. Okay, so that's actually is important. So I saw this story last night. In Wayne County, there's been a lot of voter irregularities, and this is some of the places where people online are saying that there was like 300% voter turnout. Well, I'm a little skeptical about those claims because, populations change and the number of people that live there might not be what this last census said. But I digress. These guys, they weren't going to pass it, and then they were bullied into doing it, and I was surprised when I heard that they did pass it after all, and now they're trying to rescind it, but I don't think that they can take it back. I mean, I don't know what the law is there, but I'm thinking, well, isn't it already over with? So we're seeing that they still sent the papers into the state today, so it sounds like that this will just turn out to be another thing where the Republicans will turn around and point at it forever about how unfair that was. Okay, we get in the news here. So here comes the jobless claims. We're looking for a initial claims of 707,000. So a little higher than expected. So that's accelerating a bit. I'm a little hesitant to take it right there. Exactly because of that. Jeez. That was a stop run right there. I just went to the seller cost basis, and it looks like somebody just completely bailed. My chest really hurts right there. My back is messed up. Now let's see here. The continuing claims was slightly lower than expected at 6,372,000 versus 6,470,000 that was expected. We haven't gotten the Philadelphia Fed Business Index yet. We do have some other numbers at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. This is just going. Interesting that the liquidity here in the Treasury doesn't appear to be coming in. Oops. Wow, that was weird. I kind of had a reflex click there in the spot that I did not intend to. That's probably okay, but The rise in initial jobless claims breaks a 4-week streak of declines, says Santelli. So what we're getting here on the jobless claims is significant. I was watching it live, yeah. I was really quite surprised. Like, the thing that I find so interesting about it is that when you look at the volume profile of it, let's come back over to the volume profile. It doesn't look like the end of the world. But when you were watching the tape, man, there was some real panic in that action, wasn't there? So I think this is a really good instance of where, watching it happen, you can learn things about what's going on that you wouldn't know otherwise. Like the tape on when that was really, really ugly. There was some long-term positions bailing there. Okay, so the treasuries are kind of playing around with this. So you notice that the 10-year is deciding to hover around 10.5. The 5-year is not quite doing the same thing. Well, the overshot to the upside, I don't know. Like, they tried to buy it. That it was so range bound during our session, right? And it wasn't just range bound, it was very low volume. It was something like 30% of the regular volume. It was really something else. And I thought it was quite bizarre because I was actually kind of in an area where I thought that there might have been a lot of people trying to position, but they were waiting on something. They decided to take the wait and see approach, and then they bailed. And when they bailed, it was so much volume. And that couldn't have been people just, over positioned from that day. I think that had to be some long-term selling. Oh, there you go. Well, probably the whole crypto market will go at the same time. The question is just, is it going to happen naturally, or is it going to happen off of a catalyst from the broader market? Is what I'm thinking right now. Because right now, if Bitcoin today just plunged out of nowhere, don't like that downtick, but if Bitcoin just like really pushed down today and we were below 16K or something like that, I wouldn't necessarily be freaking out unless I was seeing stuff in the broader market as well, because Bitcoin on its own is still going to have a very strong bias towards trying to get to 20K. But if I see it with the broader market and everything, and it's falling down with everybody else, then I start to get concerned about like a financial market wide deleveraging. Okay, well, that 11 is not holding liquidity at all. Look at the E-mini come back down. I really want to. Well, I could probably take it there now. It's just the problem that I have in the E-mini here. If I had taken it right off of the news and I heard the number and I just decided to click, then I think I could be in a pretty good trade that I could just hold. But this spot 35.54 is an area that we should expect to see a little bit of wrestling around. Whereas in the treasuries, I feel like you kind of got a little bit better of a base of support. Plus, if things are getting scary, usually it's better to be long the treasuries, but we'll see what happens. Treasuries haven't necessarily always been the greatest trade, but they were last time that we had a down run. We had to move up, and we caught it, and it was good. So I think we should be okay. And you also, I should point out that the 30-year seems to be quite aggressive about it. Ooh. Is it? I remember when crypto kitties started, and it was like $20 for a crypto kitty, and you had to wait like a week for it to even like process. I was like, man, I thought that Ethereum was better than Bitcoin on this, but apparently Ethereum is run by the same people that think that having a smaller block size and it's basically people that think that like the less it's actually used for the thing that makes it unique, the better or something, which I just think is so crazy. They're trying to decrease the velocity of money, which when you go into the formula does make it more valuable, but the thing that really makes it more valuable is more overall money, a larger overall economy, and it seems like they want to hamstring their own economy. Okay. Really? Oh, that was easy. So now that I've kind of established a position here and everything, I'm a little, I mean, I could try doing it again, but preferably they shouldn't be hitting into 10.5 again. So I think I'm going to just sit for a bit. I can do that. Since I only have one contract on. The E-mini it is kind of an interest. So they're still at the seller cost basis. They're having trouble getting below that. So are you going to see it bounce back up to the buyer cost basis? Things are actually moving up. That's kind of interesting. Up to 35.65. I think that would be hard to do given the reaction to the initial jobless claims. So probably, well, I guess this is probably about the best that we're going to get in terms of price. So I will do that. And they may just come for us. And then, oh well. Good morning, how are you? This eye has been, there must be something in the air I'm allergic to, because this eye has been weeping a lot lately. Like I can feel the tears on the skin there kind of starting to like burn it. You know, the salt. McKinney calls state coronavirus restrictions for Thanksgiving Orwellian. So, what do you guys think about the coronavirus restrictions? So, I believe that, well, first of all, a lot of things that we've been pushing. Well, unlike Kuma was giving a really good, was a good example yesterday. He was saying like, don't complain because you didn't take your medicine the first time, and so now we have to deal with things now. And I'm thinking, no, you're always going to have to deal with these things. And I continue to be frustrated by people that make claims about that we can crush the virus when it's not realistic. Okay, so there was a study out talking about masks showing that there was some efficacy for them, but that mask policy didn't seem to make a difference in terms of like how fast the virus spread. I think that it's going to be the case. About darn time. That's only a 5% difference. Oh, was it 30 before? Okay. Don't distract me, Vlad. Don't distract me. So let's try something new. If I'm try, I mean I know you're delayed, but wait until I'm done with the thought before bringing up something like that. And then we could talk about it if we want. You're okay. I really like you, Vlad, but I'm having a hard time balancing things. So we'll try working it out. I'm sure that we'll figure it out. Okay, so what was I saying? Oh yeah. So anyways, it seems like masks work, but that masks don't completely prevent it, and so people are still out and about. They're still going to catch it. So I don't see people walking around without masks. But I do think that if people are walking around and interacting with each other, that they're going to catch it, and there's going to be, an increase in cases. And the only thing that it seems to me like the thing that really killed it was like forcing everybody to literally stay all home all the time unless they're at the grocery store. Okay, so then does preventing people from having Thanksgiving dinner with family really help? You know what I mean? It seems to me that if you're all healthy, if you don't invite grandma, I don't know, like my position is that if I catch it, that everybody in my house is probably going to catch it. You know what I mean? So I kind of wonder about how effective draconian measures about Thanksgiving. Yeah. How effective can that really actually be? And does this just turn into another instance of people being overzealous? Yeah, there you go. Do a live stream. Do a live stream with grandma and grandpa. I'm doing something. Listen, well, here's the thing. I'm with my parents every week, so we've been careful about it. Not that they're super old or anything, but my mom has asthma and my dad is somewhat obese, and so I would be a little concerned if they had got it. I think that they would be okay, but I think that they would maybe have to go to the hospital. You know what I mean? But so in my mind, it's like we already have enough interaction. We might as well be. Well, right. I mean, it seems to me that a group of people bought into a theory that was incorrect, and now that we are seeing that that theory is incorrect, they're doubling down on it. That's what it looks like to me. I mean, here's the thing: if like your hospitals are becoming overwhelmed, you kind of have to do something about it, right? You should be able to increase your capacity and create a tent and all of that sort of stuff. But if you don't have enough doctors and everything, yeah, a lot of people are going to die if you don't do something about that. So it's not like they can't do anything. But I think it's really more that the vast majority of the United States shouldn't have locked down in the spring. Right? They should have let it go, and maybe they would have locked down later, like in May or June, and we would have seen a larger spike in the summer. But, well, maybe, I don't know. So a good spot to look at would be like Texas, huh? Because Texas had a lot of cases. Florida had a lot of cases. Yeah, I don't know. And then the other thing that's really crazy is that, oh, hold on. Yeah, I just don't think you can crush it. Real, really? Yeah, I agree. Um, I don't know, because here's another thing that really bothers me. Yeah, so here's what happened with that, Joseph. The Trump administration, their strategy, what they said when they came out and did this, because here's the reality, and I know that what I'm about to say might not be very popular with the Donald Trump fans, but here's the reality. Donald Trump never really thought that the coronavirus was a significant enough thing for us to really have to do anything or deal with it. And he only went into lockdown because he thought, oh, this is something where like I can come out, or I can say, okay, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and then it will be done and over with, and everybody will go back to normal. If we just do the thing to placate people and make a big deal about it, and then it'll all be taken care of. And so that's why it turned into after that, okay, we've got to open back up and everything else like that. But by that point, it was beyond that, right? Because they were saying flatten the curve, but a lot of doctors and the majority of these Democrat governors were all on board now with crush the virus, which requires just decimating your economy. And one of the things that I find really telling lately, and really concerning, frankly, have you seen these comments from Fauci? It seems like every day Fauci says something that is just like, are you effing kidding me? So the thing the other day was, oh, we'll have to continue to wear masks even after we have a vaccine distributed. Right? And people were saying that even after we have a vaccine, that we might have to be shutting down again like next year and stuff like that. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And that is the whole thing, is that it was like we shut things down for nothing, because you're still going to have hospital capacity overwhelmed in the winter, it appears. And like I said, New York is shutting the schools down again. And that's how it always started, right? It started with shutting down the schools, and then all of a sudden it was like full on lockdowns. What is your opinion on Zed Monopoly? I don't know what that is, to be honest, Henry. Oh yeah, that was a couple of days ago. I don't I don't know if I would read too much into that one unless something actually happens. That's kind of one of those, like, file it in the back of your mind and maybe something interesting happens off of it later. But I think that this is really just a lot of misguided people. Oh, Monopoly is a trader on YouTube. I have never seen that person. Never heard of them. Man, and now you okay? So let's do go into that, Henry, because I don't know anything about that individual guy, but I tell you, I've been having some real issues lately with what I've seen from other people on YouTube, man. They're just there. So yesterday, there was a thread where a person said, "Look, here is a profitable strategy that I developed. Here's how I went about developing this strategy. I went and I looked at the markets and I thought I saw something that appeared to have some sort of an edge in the market. So then I started testing it and doing it consistently to show what the efficiency of that system was, and then it turned out that it had a positive expectancy." Okay, so you go and you look at the stats and everything that he had posted. It's an absolute bullshit system. So it is, as always, and we talk about this all the time, it is a system that risks more than it makes, which is to say that they're going out and they're taking an 8-tick profit and a 16-24-tick stop so that you hit a really, really high win rate. And what happens when you do that is that you're taking on risk, and you make money from taking on the risk, but you also develop a really high risk of like blowing out. So if you have a drawdown, the drawdown is going to be really severe, especially if you have like a what do we say, like a string of losers. And when I've been doing backtesting on these things, I've often found that if you take the largest losing streak that system had, that it will drown most retail trading accounts, even if it has a positive expectancy in the end. So I post about this, and this guy had like a YouTube channel and a YouTube video and everything else like that. And this other guy in the threads, started challenging him on it too. And he said that the guy eventually talked to him and admitted that he hasn't really been trading for very long, and that he was just doing it to get the YouTube views and build a big YouTube channel and make money off of the YouTube channel. And it's really quite disturbing. I'm finding it disturbing. Like, I'm getting to the point where I feel like I want to do something. I'm not 100% sure what I should do. But like the thing is if you go in and you make a video and you make a claim about how much you made, you just say $590 trading session. You put it in the thumbnail and people will click on it. It's like they can't help it. They're like, even if they're doing it to be like, well, I think this guy is full of crap. Let's see what he actually does. You know what I mean? But people will click on it. And that's making a performance claim. I don't think that you should be allowed to make such performance claims on YouTube without providing proof. I think that it should be like there should be a broker statement attached to the video, or it gets deleted. And this is why I don't put those in thumbnails, and I don't make performance claims. And I'll always tell you, sometimes I do well and sometimes I do poorly. And it just bothers me. So then I'm like, well, should I make a video about it? Should I, start calling all these people out? But then I feel like that kind of makes you look bad and like a sore loser or something like that, But like, I feel like at some point somebody's got to do something, because it's really getting out of control. I'm thinking about buying a course from him. Maybe you're him and you're just trying to promote him. That happened to us the other day with Inner Circle Trader. I'm almost positive that guy that was coming in and pushing it was actually him. Because he just knew way too much about that guy's history. Like, it was pulling out videos from 3 years ago, and I'm like, nobody followed him for that long. Anybody that'd been following him for that long would know that he took a MyFX book challenge and blew it in like the first week. You know what I mean? So here's what I would have to say about that, about taking a course. Okay, there are some good courses out there. I haven't taken them. The thing is that there's no course, there's no strategy, there is no detail or whatever it is that somebody can tell you about the market that will work forever. Market is competitive. You have to learn to find the edges on your own. That's the thing. Read the news, understand what the market is doing, come up with strategies based on that. If you can't do that, then you're always dependent on that other person that taught you. And if that other person is popular, then the chances are that all of the other people taking the course, you're all going to trade it, and you're just going to arbitrage that edge away, and it's not going to work. Right? So learn on your own. Right? And that's what we're trying to do here, because it's really hard to do it by yourself, right? So we're trying to work together. And I don't present myself, or I try not to present myself as like a guru, like I know everything, and if you just listen to what I say, you'll be profitable. Because I know that that's just not true, right? Good example. Ace does amazing, and I don't know how he does it. He showed me how his strategy works. I made money off of it for about 3 months, and then it came into a drawdown, and I personally was not able to deal with the drawdown very effectively. He did, and I didn't, right? And the system fell apart during that time period. But it's done okay since. It's just kind of like that sort of a thing. And the issue is that Ace subconsciously somehow has other edge beyond that, and is able to see the market as it develops and able to deal with it. That end, he really is only taking a small amount out, and that makes a big difference too. Okay, well, the market is coming back up. So I think that I took about the best spot that I could have for a bounce. I could try selling it at almost any spot along here, but probably it'd be better to wait and see if it comes back up, or see a reaction in treasuries and maybe do it. Sometimes the worst looking trades come out the best in this environment. Live Action says he lives in a studio apartment. I just like... Have a look at some of the clips of Speculator Seth trading. He is pointing you in a direction. Find your way on your own in a positive sense. Personally, I think there's no system in the world which one just buys and then you can copy it. Trading its two personal cycle out. It's definitely true, Lobo Trader. I mean, theoretically, you should be able to... No, hold on a second. So that's interesting that the 10-year just did there. Yeah, I mean, theoretically, you should be able to write a robot and have it do it for you, but I just don't think it's that simple. Like, the issue when you're doing back testing is you're just going to fit to the existing data, and then you're going to come into there's going to be a global pandemic, and nobody's ever seen that before, and how do you deal with it, right? I'll tell you how I dealt with it. I just stopped trading. Markets always changed our DNA, right? So I've been doing some back testing. I've gotten it. Oh my gosh! Because we got 32 gigs of RAM, I was finally able to do a tick replay test. Now, unfortunately, it still takes too long. I ran one. I don't run out of memory. So maybe I'll just have to have one that runs all night. But I can do a tick replay indicator. I did one with cumulative delta. I did it on just to the beginning of the month. And I had a system that, tested pretty good, actually. I think it was something like it was in the 2. It was like a profit factor of 2.5 or something like that. But it was not, I don't think it was nearly enough trades. It was only like 40 trades or something like that. So I don't know. But it was just a combination of cumulative delta and Bollinger Bands. and it did okay. So now I can go and backtest some things, but I think the next one that I'm interested in backtesting is going to be candles, because I've gone through and I've found some really interesting results from backtesting candles. I'll find periods where a certain candle setup works really well, like really well, and then I'll test, try and increase the time period to do like 4 years worth, and then there's no edge in it. It's like, what? How did I get into that? So I was saying trading is too. Oh yeah, markets always change their DNA. Yeah, I mean that's where it's like, I think that you have to understand what is actually going on in that market and why it behaves the way that it does. Like a day like yesterday where all of the volume just kind of like died down. It's like, to really trade that, you have to understand that you have to bring your targets in. I always have a really hard time with that, right? Oh yeah. I mean, it already has, and I would expect that they would probably continue to sell. Now, key, how do I say, something you should remember here is that it's not the only thing out there, right? We have existing home sales coming up at in an hour. We have more bill auctions. We have the Kansas Fed Manufacturing Index at 11 o'clock. We have some Fed speakers today, I believe. Fed's Mester is speaking. Yeah, there's a lot going on today. So now all of those things are kind of medium impact things. Probably the jobless claims is probably the most impactful thing that you're going to see released. But I mean, we had a down move today already. I don't know. Is there more in it? I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. Well, the treasuries really firmed up there nicely, didn't they? 0Hedge says Gen Y is out, Gen Z is in. Why one bank thinks Gen Z are the new global influencers. Interesting. It does kind of feel like all of a sudden that the millennials aren't getting their day, like the millennials should be the ones in charge, but instead they end up being like the middle child. Oh man. It's a little late, isn't? Don't you think? And I think we're okay. We're okay though. Twitter pretty quiet right now. This is funny. There's a picture of Bill Gates and it says, "You're not worth microchipping." Changed my mind. I mean, I kind of agree with him. I think the idea that the vaccine is just a underhanded way to microchip you or something is kind of silly. Like isn't it enough to just be able to point out that the vaccine makers will make a ton of money from producing a effective working vaccine, that we don't have to add all of this other crazy stuff into it? Am I wrong? Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay. Some people are, I guess. You know what was weirding me out? Okay. I am this is kind of weird. I'm having a nose surgery on Friday. No, do I sound like I'm from Europe? Or were you asking someone else? That was a good one, Ace. Yeah. I'm surprised that you got that with the price that you got, because I thought that was a FOMO, wasn't it? Yeah, he's going to say, yeah, it was a FOMO. No, do I sound like I'm from Europe? I'm not. Ace is from it lives really close to me in Utah. Uzi's from Florida. Vlad is like in, it's not Russia, but like over in that area, right? Ukraine. Well, there was a signal. Oh, you got a different signal. It's a different signal that you haven't shared with me. Ranjes, hi, I am from India today. Prediction of U.S. market, specifically Dow Industrial Average. Well, I'm leaning towards the bear side for sure. I can kind of see it, so I can give you some levels that I'm watching, kind of like areas that I'm looking for them to go to. On the downside, I'm looking at 35.43. That would be stopping out the overnight positions. On the upside, I've got 35.66, which, given the reaction to the jobless claims and everything else, seems a little unreasonable, but anything can happen. And, it would not be the first time when I've thought that we've had fundamental news that points in one direction and then the open happens and they don't care. So, no, the same old they just touched. Really? Oh, well, wait. 57.25? I guess it's a different, because when I look at it, it didn't touch the longer moving average. It touched the short moving average. Raginus, you're welcome. So I've got this video planned for 5K. We're not there yet. We're at 4K. I think we hit 4K. Did we hit 4K today? Let's go look. I think we hit 4K today. But I have a video that I want to make, and it's going to be called Achieving Day Trading Nirvana. And I've been wondering if I make that video, will I start getting a lot more Indian traders coming in? Oh, we're four subscribers short. So if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. So here's where I really want to know though, Ace, is do you take the profit completely on that, or are you trying to let them run? I don't get how you're able. It's like when it runs, you just let it go, and when it doesn't run, you took it off. And I'm always like, how does he do that? How does he know? Here in Europe, we don't have any brokers like Webull, unfortunately. Oh, really? Or like Robinhood? Well, the regulations over there in Europe are like quite different. Oh, really? Do you always try and let one or two run? Because I was under the impression that sometimes you really just take them all off. Oh, did they came down and stopped me out? Oh, wow. I wasn't paying attention. Well, I guess that's okay. That's kind of curious, the way that they're trading this range in the 10-year though. Well, I think that means that I should scratch this and wait and see what's going to happen. I've had some okay trades, and then they didn't really actually turn out. And the 10-year only went 2 ticks in my favor, huh? Well, I should have moved my stop. It shouldn't have been where it was. That's okay though. I also wonder if you only do it with 2 contracts, would it still work? Or would you really need like 3? Okay. When I did it and I was doing really well with it, I was just doing the 1 contract and taking it off at 8 ticks. I guess that would have worked here today so far, but I keep telling myself, hey, Seth, just yeah. I keep saying, it seems like it does tend to go in my way first. And that I probably could hold, just a set risk, and I should try that for a bit and see how it turns out. But no. But when the issue that I have with it is when the market gets moving, then that's too tight. You know what I mean? Like you start to get into this point where because it's moving way further than what you're looking for, your results kind of become random. Oh, well, so I've been involved in financial markets since 2008, but I've only been trading futures now for about 4 years. About 4 years now, because I started in 2016. The whole thing is kind of funny, and I've been streaming for almost 3, which is like crazy, right? I want to look here at this volume. I'm still a little bit miffed at the way that the 10-year did that. That could still be like a buy, but they seem to be suggesting something else, don't they? That's weird. Why is this chart is messed up? This chart is messed up. Let's go fix that. These 5-minute bars. Yeah, it is. It's okay. High, low, outline up should be royal blue. And the outline down should be dark red. And this should be royal blue. Okay, that's a little bit better. Let's save that. Anyways, to your last question, Henri, though. Man, there was another guy that was named Henri. But anyways, I don't pretend that I have all of the answers. I think that I know a few things that might help you. But, it's always, the market's always going to be changing, and past performance is indicative of future results. Yeah, that one would be good. Oh, so well, you know what? I just need to have you come over and I'll show you the system, because the way that I programmed it out, it takes way less trades than you do. By the way, on the 10-year, most of the activity from the large orders is on the offer, which we should maybe keep an eye on. Oh. That's interesting. My cache is corrupt. Well, that's good. I'm not leave it alone. Then I'll leave it alone. Now I can finally go and find this bug. Don't forget, Seth. Don't forget. Okay. Yeah, that one, I totally get why you wouldn't want to take that one. Well, now we're coming up into the evening time period, so we kind of want to be a little careful with that. What's this here? Hold on. That was from a long time ago. Yeah. Was there a copyright claim on a video that had music in it? Market is already risky. It is well known that 90% of traders lose their money. You would think that it was well known, but I don't think it's as well known as it should be. I think the issue is you start trading, and then when you're a month into it, then you find out that 95% of traders lose money. Why is the market not moving? I don't know. I think that you got some bad news, but that it's not enough in the pre-market to move it, and there's just not enough participants right now to really make a measurable difference, right? You know? So, because we're kind of like in no man's land right now. We're kind of in no man's land. Oh my. Carl Quintilla, what's he retweeting here? Once you show the world you have an edit button and are quote-unquote helping a conversation, move back and watch the new line form on the slippery slope that was created in 2020. Vietnam has threatened to shut down Facebook unless it complies with censorship requests. Facebook told the Vietnamese government it would not increase censorship of political posts in Vietnam. Yeah. It's a moving watcher tape. It's just that we're caught in the balance of buyers and sellers. Yeah. Well, we're in an area that if we want to make money, we probably should only take 8 ticks. It's also kind of like technically a buy, so... If Democrats don't win the Georgia runoffs, the Fed is on its own. Unless the economy gets really bad. It does seem a little weird that we had such a significant decline overnight and that the pre-market traders aren't really interested in it, isn't it? Okay. Now, interesting thing here is that it seems like all of the different instruments are kind of all giving me different signals. Oh dear, Future Trader 71 had his internet reset while he was doing his live stream. You think so? You're talking about that 3611 area, huh? Although a lot of people said that this 3556 should act as a magnet, and it kind of has, hasn't it? But when I look at it, there's very clearly the seller's line right there. Should have. Oh well. Ah well. Oh, what? A negotiator on the team for the Brexit negotiations has tested positive for coronavirus, and so they are suspending negotiations temporarily. This comes, my own comment on this here. They were talking about, oh, it's awful. Don't look at it. Don't look at it. So far, we're down. I haven't moved over to so I have 2 accounts and I'm still on experiment. So I got some good favorable excursion, but I haven't gotten a real positive trade yet. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use set targets here and I'm not going to pull these and see what we get. And then if we start to see a little bit of success, then I'll switch over to the more serious one. But like I said, I don't claim to have it all figured out. Sometimes I do well and sometimes I do awful. Yeah, so anyways, the Europeans were talking about like they need to do like some emergency legislation in case the negotiations aren't done this week and yada yada yada. And now Barnier is that they're suspending the talks, and we are seeing the British pound moving off of that and the dollar getting a little stronger. The E-mini doesn't seem to care though. I'm tempted to try again here on the 10-year, but I feel like I got burned, so I'm just going to keep an eye on it. When it's acting like that, that's usually not favorable action for me, so I probably should just stay out in the 10-year. Yeah. Well, we got a good down move, but now it's kind of like it's right here. I guess I could continue to try and play here in the treasury and really focus on it and see what I could pull out, but no, I'm just going to keep it and just pay attention to it there, that it's at 10, and we'll see if they get back to 11 or not. Yeah. I think I'm wondering if what's going on in the treasury here is that we were getting some risk off sentiment pushing us up, but that they're still heavy because of the treasury issuance, and so there's the kind of I just find it really weird that it's like this whole area here they're able to move around so freely, because I didn't think that it would be like that at like 09 half, like that they dropped to 09, they dropped all the way to 08 half. I'm you know, man, and I didn't catch it at all. I wasn't even paying attention. So let's pay attention to this one that we've got on. Volume is fairly equal still. By the way, how does this sound look? It looks like I don't have some... my expander's not working. Why is that? There. Get rid of any of the background noise there. The other day, I went back. You guys never noticed, but like when I went to record a video, I'm like, oh, there's some noise. There's some noise in it, and it was... I had the other microphone. It was like on but not plugged into anything, and so you were getting electrostatic noise from that side of the microphone. Okay, here we go. Initial move is down. Just a little bit more. Okay, so that one worked. So they might continue down there, but I think that the reaction that I'm seeing now, I think I want to be a little cautious about. I think that you're likely to see a significant pullback here at some point first. I don't know if they're just going to go straight for 35.44 or not. I think they could, but how many contracts was that? It wasn't a ton, but it was a very clear down move. So let's just note that, because that can be really important, right? And the treasuries are bid back up to 11. That's frustrating because I had a good trade over there. And they knew right where I was sitting and decided to go get me. Okay. Maybe they'll just do it. 42 is the spot. Now we're hearing that they're not suspending. Their teams will continue their work in full respect of the guidelines. So they're suspended, but they're still working. Algo's confused, says Forex Live. Yeah, probably. So what is the British pound is retracing that move? The E-mini, though, is bearish, bearish, bearish. Look at that. Okay, so they did go for the target, 42. So now our issue is that we don't got much to work with beyond that. I guess I can go and look at some VIX levels and so forth. Oh, what do you know? They just barely brush it and pull back. I don't know. There's been a number of good trades in here that I just missed, you know. Well, I took the short. I just, you know, I didn't want to let that one run. I feel really FOMO-y about it, but I'm like reminding myself, no, let's like just take them on set targets for a while and see what our hit rate is turning into. Okay, so yeah, a little too late. Oh. 22? Well, you see, I don't have my VIX targets yet, so I can't really say what I think. I can't see it for another 10 seconds. I mean, my understanding of what the situation was and the positioning was all correct, wasn't it? The exact execution of that was not completely there, was it? Because we could have held off and then just sold on the open. That would have been a better play. Yeah, I'm doing it manually here. I've written some algorithms and I do a lot of backtesting, but most of the backtesting is for me to verify if the things I'm seeing in the market are really true or not. I'm excited now that I'm able to backtest tick replay again. We can take our inventory cost basis and see if how it works as a filter is what I want to do. I want to say if it's below the orange line, take this trade, and if it's above, take this trade. Yeah. Okay, so now they coming back. They gonna come back to that open, huh? Well, it looks like the volume is coming through too. So I'm not hearing a lot of clicking. So when you hear the click, that's my market depth tape telling me that there was large orders moving around. Well, we're not really seeing a lot of that, are we? Yeah, I have 32 gigs of RAM now. And the 32 was enough that I can reasonably backtest some things now. So it used to be if you had a data set, if you were doing more than 1,000 iterations or the data set was too large, it would use up 16 gigs of RAM and then you're done. But last night I ran one that, yeah, yep. Okay, my definition of a large order is a limit order that changes the market depth at that price by more than 100 contracts. Yep, it's 100. Minimum size 100, and is within 24 ticks. I don't pay attention to the ones that happen like 100 ticks away or whatever. Gary Rich is pointing something out really important, right? There was a vaccine news overnight, and the market completely ignored it, which is a big change. Yeah, I got it for $70. So now the question in my mind is, do I need 64 gigs of RAM or 128 gigs of RAM for my next machine, or is the 32 enough? Well, so far I haven't maxed out the 32, so it seems to get to like right to 16, and then that's enough. But I bet you that if I did a bigger back test, like if I tried to do back test 1 second bars on like a 4-year time frame, then maybe I would start using more. You think news? Are you saying that trading with news is garbage, or are you saying that the news that we've gotten today is garbage? Oh, okay. Well, I respectfully disagree. I think that the news will beat your technicals almost every time. What do you mean off of announcement stimulus? I mean, I think that the key trigger was when Kumo said that they're going to close the schools down. That seems to be when it really started declining. So the buyers are, it's slowed down a lot, but I'm not sure that they've run out of steam. I mean, it's still kind of chugging along there up, isn't it? I mean, it could be that because of the vaccine, there are some algos and other things out there trying to buy it. Overall, though, it's a much more of a two-way market than I expected. Okay, so I don't know how to respond to that. So I think that the big thing with news is that you have to know what people's positions are first, right? That's most people don't understand how to factor in the market positioning, and so yeah. Oh well, I'm thinking about taking a short there, but look, there's a lot of volume trading at that 50 area. So I think I want to avoid that area. And like the treasuries are pushing down again. But that's where I say, let's back it up. Show me a short time frame technical setup that is programmed in NinjaTrader, and has a positive expectancy with and still maintaining a positive average winner to average loser over 1, right? It seems to me that the majority of things that day traders in futures are trying to take advantage of on their own, if you just trade it with the computer, are pretty much random. Like I can get stuff to come out with a positive expectancy, but like a really good positive expectancy is like 1.5. Whereas when I understand the news, I get way better profit factor than that. The issue with the news seems to be that it's inconsistent, right? Oh, it is definitely random. As far as we're concerned, it could be. No, I don't know if you can. You can. Well, you could compare it to the results of a person actively doing it, right? That's where I'm saying that it's like, well, when you're doing what, when you understand the news, it seems to do really, really well. But the issue with the news trade is that sometimes you don't actually understand what's going on. And so then the inconsistency comes from that. Okay, so now I'm getting my numbers here. Downside 30. Upside 83. I'm a little unsure. When I'm looking at their positions, I can see that we are kind of in the middle, and that they're using this area to battle it out. And so I'm not really sure which side wins here. Well, okay, that might be. I'm just saying, I've back tested a lot of things, and I found little edges, but they're not edges that I think that my viewers could realistically trade. If you had a ton of money, then yeah, you could trade it and you would make money. I don't think you'd get a very good return, but you could make money with it. But a lot of these have like huge drawdowns. Like a. Oh, there you go. That was a pretty good move up. Go ahead. You have another thought. Go ahead. Maybe a little later I can show you the back tests that I've got. Those are pretty simple systems, but. So on the news thing, I think you could program some news, right? I could program in the economic numbers. I could say, okay, here's the positions, here's the economic number and the expectation, and here's how big of a difference was, and take the trade based off of that. You could definitely program that. Breaking news, a little harder. Well, a lot harder. Somebody obviously does it because there's algos that definitely trade off of that, off of Twitter and stuff. Okay, so there's an upside. Now, am I seeing? Okay, so on the new high there, RTH high, I'm seeing a lot of pushing, but not necessarily stop orders. And this has kind of happened a number of times, hasn't it? Okay, well, there might be a position up there in the 60s that they might go for. Okay, so let me back up and try and put it this way. There are some things that I can test, and there are some things that are a little bit harder to test. You know what I mean? Maybe that's true. Maybe you're right, Gary. Maybe if I come over here on the 10-year and I focus on it really hard, and I'm willing to, hey, sometimes I'm only taking 2 ticks, and really manage the trade based off of the level 2, maybe I would scalp okay. And that's the issue, is that I'm always trying to turn it into a swing. And Anyways, but this is the thing, is like if it's like based on level 2 order flow, that's a lot harder to test. I can't to back test, at least. I kind of have some ways of doing it, but it's super difficult, you know. There's other things like these price action systems that theoretically should be something that you should be able to program, but I found whenever I look at these people's how they do the setups, you really can't program it. There's way too much. They're not well defined systems at all. So how do you test that, right? Because it's not a real plan. But if it's a purely technical signal, you should be able to program it. And I guess my point is, if it's programmable, then we should program it and be able to show what its historical performance is. And I, as of yet, have been unable to find a system that back tests on a historical basis well enough for me to feel confident trading it. And I've found a few people that show a positive system, but then you find out that, like the reason it's profitable is because it's in the market for so long, and then you have to compare it to just holding the index, and the risk that the money that they're making is from taking on the extra risk. So there's this a big issue that we have in the retail industry, where there's a large number of people basically doing risk premium strategies, and they think they're genius traders because they're able to string together long periods of time where they did make money because they have such a wide stop, but then ultimately they still blow out. We talked about that earlier, though, haven't we? So if you want, I know, but the whole point of that was that somebody was saying, well, I think that technicals are better than news. I think that this is a belief that retail traders have that is wrong. News is more influential than technicals in almost every instance. And I think that you're really cutting yourself short if you don't pay attention to news. We're going to make a video about this in the future. TradeStation has a nice feature in post your trades. Well, you can do that in NinjaTrader. We'll look at them. I definitely pay attention to what the stats are when I'm actually catching it. Okay, so around 62 or so was where we were before the jobless claims. So that's going to be a spot. Maybe we'd see some stops, but there's like a position going all the way up to 66. So I suppose we could try taking that long on the expectation that they're going to get up to it, but probably we already missed that opportunity if we were going to take that one. It is pushing. I find it interesting, given how strong the equity is pushed out there, that the treasuries are still within their narrow range. Now, one thing that I think I would like to do is this, like, you get this thing, you see this, when the level 2 is imbalanced completely in one direction for that long, it's like they flip the switch, the buy program is on, and it just goes up. Nah, they're getting ready for school. I don't think she would come in and say something if she was talking to me. German cops raided doctor's house while he's live streaming because he's speaking out against the lockdowns. What? So now you can't say that you disagree with lockdowns on a live stream. I've spoken out against lockdowns. They're gonna come to my house. Okay, but that's where I was saying, did you factor in positioning and expectation? Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if it starts happening in some municipalities in the United States. So if the market is already significantly positioned short, no, yeah, I agree. Live action. So if the market is significantly positioned short, and then you have some news comes out that is bearish, that piece of news is only slightly below the expectation, and it's not a really highly significant piece of news, like the stuff that's going to come out at the top of the hour, for instance, right? Then, you know, it's hard for the market to continue moving down. That's probably already factored in. You know what I mean? Oh, let's see. Nobody in Utah would do anything, that's for sure. Okay, so there is a ton of pivots coming up here. So they're going to blast through these. Not just blasting through them, not yet. And by the way, nothing on the level 2 to indicate anything significant about those levels. Hmm. 64.5. Yeah. Yeah. They're almost to the stop run right here. I think we'll see it before the top of the hour news. In fact, why not? Although, let's do a tiny one. It might be bad timing, I don't know. Just a little bit more. No, I don't think so. I need something to tell me that, like, that's the time, you know what I mean? I don't think I have it right now. Yeah, see that? That would have freaked me out. Is NQ going really strong? Oh yeah, it is. Are they doing? Oh my gosh! So did I ever tell you about the freaking? So remember when we said, "Hey, let's try playing a put option on Tesla," and we did it, and we actually caught like a good trade off of it, and then, the Thinkorswim platform kind of screwed up, and it didn't take us out of the. It should have just let the option expire and pocketed the money, I thought, but it gave us the shares. I was like, well, let's just leave them on and see what it does, even though this is a really bad idea to try and hold a short long term. Well, I completely forgot about it, right? So I checked it the other day, and guess what happened? The demo system doesn't factor in the split. So even though the split adjusted, it should be short, right? It should be short 500 contracts at 300 in price. It thinks that it's short from 1,500 to 100 contracts. So it thinks, so even though it should be like a $20,000 loss, it thinks that they made like 100K or something like that. I was like, oh man, I'm never doing that again. It was funny. I had a good laugh when I realized that's what had happened. Well, they should be going out and stopping them out there, and they're not doing it. I'm going to wait for the news. Not that I think that existing home sales should be a significant factor, but I had another thought on this whole news thing. Sometimes the market gets news wrong. Like that definitely happens. Well, no, so is there something that you're supposed to do in the platform so that it will, or was I just that I was have to sell it manually? Because I was. Yeah, I was under the impression that the platform should sell it. Like that the platform should only use it to get you actually into the stock if you tell it to execute that. It's you have the option to do it, right? But it did it automatically. Why is that? How are you supposed to do that in Thinkorswim? But then I think about it and it's like, well, I guess you just don't actually, you hold it till the Friday, but then you sell it at the close. Yeah. Okay. So the number coming out, existing home sales is really good. 4 spot 3 versus a negative 1 spot 2. We're already positioned long. Right. Well, I mean, they do that all the time. They sold initially. Come on. No. I guess not. Yeah. But that's where I'm saying if you're in the money, you don't have to buy the stock with it, right? But are you saying that if you hold it to expiration, they will always execute you if you're in the money? Is that always the case? And if that is the case, then the correct response should always be to sell it on the expiration date, correct? Yeah, that one's not working out. I thought that we were getting the stop run and didn't really do it. So I'm just going to bail. Okay. The thing is I wasn't paying attention to it. It wasn't a serious thing to me. And like, to be honest, given the whole context of that, uh I've never executed it. I know quite a bit about the clearing process and stuff, which is probably not very useful to me, huh? But I don't touch it. I wouldn't say so, James. It was exactly the situation that I was talking about, though, right? The market was already really strongly positioned long. They had stopped out almost everybody that there was to stop out on the long, that was short. And it's not news, even though it was really good news, it's not news that's incredibly significant to the S&P 500 in particular. And so because of positioning, it's unlikely to be able to continue and hold. Now, I did try taking it there because I thought that we never really got the true stop run up there, right? Never really got the true stop run up there, which I think probably makes the downside a little bit more exciting. But, I was trying to buy into it as there was a rush, and that's why I got rid of it quickly too. I don't know, though. The way that we're getting the action on the downside now again, it still looks kind of random to me, doesn't it? Okay, that's a good question. Yeah, so when I develop, I sold. When I develop my strategies, I'm basically only testing it on the S&P 500 futures or the 10-year treasury. So don't look at other asset classes like Bitcoin or options or anything like that. Well, sorry, not Bitcoin. You like Forex. Do I need to pull it in here? Hold on a second. It seems like maybe I do. Because I got the move that I wanted, but that was all there was to it. I wouldn't say that the action is bad. We passed up a lot of good trades, didn't we? Okay, that's a little bit more like the way that I would like a trade to go. I found your channel while searching for some info on strategy development. That was useful. Thank you. I'm glad. Tom. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't think that the media is ever going to bash the Biden administration the way that they do the Trump administration. I mean, they always go easy on Democrat administrations anyways, but it kind of turns into this thing where it's like, how much fault would anything that's going on actually be Joe Biden himself? You know what I mean? Like, so far, when you look at who they're talking about filling posts and things like that, it looks like a technocrat administration. You know what I mean? They're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that have been in government for a long time, they're putting all the people that they think are smart and should be running things, and they're entrusting all of those things to them, and then they're taking on an extra healthy dose on the cultural issues. They're taking, going full bore SJW. But that's where it kind of gets, the whole conversation is kind of interesting. I don't think that people understand the real argument on it all, because I was watching this one video the other day. I don't know. Oh, like the softball questions and stuff? Yeah, totally. They're going to softball them. But I was watching this video the other day where they were saying, I don't think history will look well on Donald Trump's administration because of the tone, that every time he opens his mouth, it's, these mean accusatory statements attacking everybody, sort of a thing. And I think that on one side, I think a lot of Republicans kind of like that, because they feel like that the Republicans never dish it out, that Democrats will push you for every teeny tiny little thing, and then Republicans just let everything slide, which there's some truth to that. But on the other side, I think that there's this feeling that the president shouldn't be the moral leader, that we shouldn't care what the president thinks about X, Y, or Z, because that's not what he's there for. He's not your pastor. He's not your therapist. And I kind of agree with them. I find it really troubling that there's this whole idea to see yeah. Oh, now Gary Rich interrupted my thoughts. You have 41 days left to see if Bitcoin finishes at 10K. Did I say 10K? I think I did say 10K. 45% drop. I think it could happen. It totally could. I still think, if not before the end of the year, then in the next 6 months, but we're likely to see a significant decline in Bitcoin at some point. I don't know if it's going to happen before they hit 20K. I think that would be great if it happened before 20K, but I'm going to bet that they're going to try and catch it. But the seasonality, it's all online, usually happens before the end of the year. Also, is it really 40? Well, I guess, yeah, because we're halfway through November. But and I don't remember saying 10K, but I really can't number it, to be honest. In order for it to come back into balance, it would have to be or where I think it should be valued, it'd have to come back to 6K, but I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. The thing that I'm when you say that, the thing that I'm concerned about is it's going to come down and it's going to hit 11K, and you're going to say, see, it didn't happen. And I'm going to be like, dude, I was totally fucking right though, right? This is a significant decline. And honestly, the higher up that we go, that you'd have to move the number, right? About what would be a significant decline. So, but to me, if it's more than 20%, that's a significant decline. If it's 50%, then that's a complete bubble burst. Did I say, okay, then we'll say 10K. We've moved up so high now, I don't know if that one is realistic anymore or not, but well, where were we at this? I have to come back to this chart now. Oh, it might be hard for it to get below 10K. There is a little bit of support back there, isn't there? Well, we'll see what happens. It's gonna do it, dude. I think that they'll close the year below 1800, below where they are now. I think that's probably a better bet. Definitely below 16K. Okay, well, On the E-mini only trades. Oh, that's right. I switched accounts. Okay. So we're okay, but not great. Now, I'm a little hesitant about... So this is buyer cost basis. They might try and bounce it, especially since it's at the open. I don't know. Oh, don't. There's nothing crazy is going to happen. Is there some kind of holiday today, or why are the bonds not moving? Undefined. You know what? Undefined. I'm not so sure that the bonds aren't moving. It seems to me that they are moving, but that there's just two really strong opposing forces messing with it. So like right there at 09.5, they traded down through that really quickly. It's like there's this range and they're bouncing it back and forth across that range. And they've been screwing with each other too. Okay, so there's a big order there and the E-mini just showed up. Actually, that was a few minutes ago that showed up. Breaking under the hammer was bad problem. Yeah, I see that actually. Deltas are declining at least. And the level 2 is still a little vague. So it kind of makes it hard for me to make a call there at that spot. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of one of those sorts of things where it's like candlestick patterns in particular are kind of fickle things, right? Like that 5-minute bar ended up being a hammer is kind of a little bit of a coincidence. If you moved everything over by a minute, then it would be different. Because there was basically a shooting star before that. So I'm starting to see a lot of large orders get involved here. Why are you talking about Tesla today? I would think that they would still be doing pretty okay lately, right? Mm. Right. Well, are they still above that? They're still above that, right? Okay. I like that one. We go and we'll do it with puts again, and this time we'll sell the puts. How much are puts over there though? They got to be like $2,000 each. Oh wow. Trump campaign were withdrawing lawsuit in Michigan. I'm not sure what else caused that. Oh, really? But don't you think that being in the index should decrease the volatility of Tesla by quite a bit now? I mean, at that point, well, maybe not. The question is, at what point does all of the retail fervor over it, not have as big of an impact? Because it seems to me that if it was just the large funds that were involved in it, that it wouldn't be anywhere close to what it's valued at right now. Like if it was just off of the valuations and it was only Wall Street involved, it wouldn't be worth like $100. I don't know what the numbers should be, but you get what I mean. So if all of the funds have to buy it now, will that decrease the volatility of Tesla? Do we have? I don't think that there's really anything to really compare it to, is there? Has there ever been a case where a stock as volatile as Tesla has been added to the S&P? I don't even know how I'd even go about calculating that. Have to calculate the average beta of the stock and then look at all additions and what their beta was the day that they were added. Or do some study about their beta before and after. Sorry, am I using the right term, beta? Yeah, beta is how much it moves in a day, right? Oh, I don't know. Have they announced it yet? So they said that they were adding Tesla, and they were saying who will remove is coming later, and I never saw the other press release. Bill Ackman is auctioning off a lunch meeting and promises to make it worth your while. You think going into the index will make it more volatile? I wish I could look at the book because I'm sure that it's a small stock liquidity, right? Okay. I don't know. It seems to me like you get the right spot, you can catch an okay short on Tesla, but it's kind of a rough trade. I am noticing that a lot of like TikTok retail people, it seems like they're not as interested in Tesla anymore. Like they were all talking about what is it, like Neo or whatever. That one, I found that one really annoying. Frankly, the whole thing that's like, oh, there you go. Sorry. This whole idea that you get in the retail stock influencer space, I find so annoying, Or it's like, oh, here's this stock. We think that it's the big mover. And look, it was the big mover today. Yay, we all caught it. And you should join our Discord. And I'm just like, you're all just chasing after each. You're just chasing your tails. And probably 4 other times you put out a stock that didn't do anything. And I just find it so annoying trying to front run the crowd all the time, you know? Like, I want to understand what's going on in the world and make trades based off of that instead of, you know, who has the most hype right now, you know? Right. I don't know, man. The TikTok trend indicator, right? I'm telling you. Yeah, I agree with you, Gary. Oh, yeah. Wait, is it really would you really call it insolvent? Oh, whoops, I clicked the wrong thing. How would you say that it's... That's quite a claim that it's insolvent. You, of all people, I would expect to have gone in and look at something like that. But I'm just asking you, are you maybe being a little hyperbolic to say that it's insolvent, or would you be willing to go on CNBC and say that? New York mayor says it's just a matter of time till indoor dining shuts down. Could try taking another short, but let's just come over here and look for Tesla. Okay. So, oh yeah, they're so expensive. You were saying after the end of the year, right? So like if we looked at January 15, oh, we don't need to see all 10. Okay. $6,000. $6,000 for a put. That's too expensive for me. Well, unfortunate. Oh, the thing that I find so funny about Tesla is I remember a guy that was literally, well, I don't know, he didn't have to work basically. So we were playing Unreal Tournament, and they were developing the new Unreal Tournament 4. And there was this guy that was really into it, and he was filthy rich. He was from Australia, and he was filthy rich. And he had made it all on Tesla. And it was like when they had put the source code out, but it wasn't like you couldn't play it online. And he went in and created a system that would create servers and everything so that people could play it online. And it kind of got out when Epic didn't want it to, and like, you know, everybody wouldn't played it that day on his server. But he had gotten it all from Tesla, and this was literally like 2015. right? That was like that long ago that he had become a millionaire off of Tesla, and it's gone way higher since then. I don't think he sold it all. You know, it's a crazy move. At one point, it was it was undervalued, like when it was, remember when it was the most popular short and it was just doing dismally, and I just don't get how it went from doing so poorly to doing so well all of the sudden in the past year, other than Robinhood traders, you know. The whole thing is just crazy. And like I said, the thing that I hate the most, or not that I don't want to say that I hate the most. How do I what should I qualify it as, how I dislike it? The thing that I find the most annoying in the retail space is the hype your play. Yeah, well, there's been some of that, but it was moving before that. The thing that was funny about that one was that they were like, oh, there was positive, and then after the next few days it went down, and then it continued up again. Whew, okay, so you really are saying that you think they're insolvent. What do you think? What was the one where they had released that report on? Who was it? GE? Whatever happened with that? Maybe. I was thinking about maybe taking it short there, but I don't like the way the liquidity is behaving here. I have to catch a much more extended spot there if I'm going to try and take it short here. So they are bouncing off of that cost basis. And that the positioning doesn't really give me a clear idea of whether it's a long or a short. Oh. Let's put it this way. If a larger overall market has a real risk-off event, then I think, yeah, Tesla should come off a lot, because I think that a lot of the movement in it has largely been retail traders, and I think that they're all going to bail. There's going to be so many day traders that are just going to get wiped out. Oh, you like that one right there? Oh, okay. Let's see. Because well, it's really more like 53 that I'm looking at, so. You think so, huh? I really want to take it short, but that's the same thing. It's like, it's kind of in an area where I don't know a whole lot. And the spread seems to be a little loose. Ooh, look at the Treasury going there, though. The Treasury finally stepping up quite aggressively as well. Okay. Now I guess I didn't need to be so dramatic about that one. Nope. And that bid at 11 pulled again. But that's true. That's true too. Man, you really don't like Tesla, huh? I think the whole thing over there is kind of crazy, but I'm not that passionate about it. Yeah, I figured. There's a big iceberg at 35.53 coming in here. And quite a bit of large orders shuffling around, mostly on the offer. So they're all shuffling around a lot here, aren't they? It's like just here in the, like it's ticked across that 11 a lot. Yeah, I see that. So that was bad. Dough. I really shouldn't have taken that one. I mean, I got excited by the large orders and everything, but who knows? Maybe that was a big buyer though, because you can kind of see where it's back, and then oh look, here's the big order. And it is on the long side. They're like, I want to want one, but there's too many problems with them still. Yeah. There's still a lot of volume trading on the E-mini. Okay. Oh. That was probably a long time ago, though, right? That doesn't sound like their most recent cars. I don't know. I don't really follow that stuff. Man, the people that are into it are so into that too. They know everything about every car. They're like, "Oh, the plaid one, it's so much better because X, Y, and Z." And I'm like, "Who fucking cares, man?" Good job. I took 2 on that too. I did it with two contracts. I'm trying to let this one. Well, what do you think the chances are of a new regular session high? They definitely fiddled around the cost basis there enough for them to make another run at it, but it sure seems really far away too. That's not that far, but to me it seems so far at this moment. I don't know why. Angry at COVID-19 vaccine makers, Trump pushes plan to get back at them with lower drug prices. Yay! Yay, lower drug prices. I will move it. I'll probably take it here somewhere. So let's just remember that this whole area up through 62 had significant large order activity last time that we were there. Brannigan Barrett, prepare for another extension of the Brexit talks beyond the deadline of December 2020, likely a 3-month extension. You heard it here first. Financial Times EU chief negotiator Michael Barnier has announced that high-level Brexit talks have been suspended after it was discovered that a member of the EU team has COVID-19. It was all the EU's fault, guys. That's important. No, it's not important. It doesn't matter. With the chart of the day, what's this zero hedge? Oh, okay, sure. Oh, wow. Oh, you think so? No, I don't think that they're going to do that. I think that what will happen is that Democrats will continue to harass him in the House of Representatives after he leaves office, and that nothing significant will ever come of it. That's what I think. Hmm. Nah, I don't think they'll do anything like that. Well, global warming has been turning Utah into a tropical paradise, so I have to say that I'm with you. I'm all for global warming. It's been making the weather quite nice. Though it's gotten pretty cold lately. Last week was cold. Well, I'm going to take it off. even though there's plenty of room to go. So let's come back here and look at only our E-mini trades. Yeah, break even. That's funny. I'm just waiting for fusion cars. Okay, well, they're probably going to go and bust a new high now, so I'm going to go to the bathroom so they can do that, all right? No, I took one contract off and then I let the other one run and I made 50. Oh, 45. I don't know. I could have been better. My plant is dying. We need to water it. Mickey, you don't want to get stuck in here. Go. Shoo. Let's see here. Yeah, so here's the thing that Gary was saying that's 100 to 200 billion for 10 years. So first of all, they would have to pass that through Congress, and I don't know how they're going to do that. But second of all, if they did, then you'd have to go and look at like what happened during the Obama administration, right? How did that one end? Because that one, you know, you or I probably wouldn't have made any money off of it. They give it to private companies and then they blow all of the money on and nothing happens from it and we don't benefit from it. It basically just ends up being handouts to their buddies. That's what happened with Solyndra, at least. Well, now with fracking and everything, there's how long can that go for? So when I left, it was at 63-25, huh? Yeah. Well, still quite a bit of buy pressure. It's not just completely running through, but I think that we're probably still good for this move to keep happening. Oh boy. Michigan canvasser now seeking to rescind her vote to certify Biden wins. Tells the Washington Post, I did receive a call from President Trump late Tuesday evening. Okay. Uh-huh. You shouldn't have signed it. I think that they do make more of it. It just takes a really long time to make, right? Wouldn't the president calling a poll worker be no? So first of all, it wouldn't be voter fraud. Second of all, they're not a poll worker; they're the canvasser. And I don't think that there's anything that says that they can't talk to them. It sure makes it seem like that there's some undue influence going on there, but it sure seems to me like there was undue influence making them sign it in the first place. Did you see that whole thing with that meeting? And that guy was threatening them and calling them racist, and they were getting death threats and stuff, and then they made a deal. Oh yeah, that whole thing has been a disaster, huh? And so they made a deal. They said, okay, we'll sign it, but you have to promise that we're going to investigate these things. And then as soon as they signed it, the Democrats rescinded that deal that they made, and they're not going to look at it. And so then they came back out and they said, well, we felt like we were unduly influenced and it wasn't fair. But like, I'm pretty sure that at that point it's too late. So that whole thing is just a mess, just because this is going to be something that people are going to talk about. You know, there's just going to be the conspiracy theories for years. It's never going to end. You know what's funny though? So the thing that I find, or one of the stories I find interesting, and I have to be careful what I say here because I don't want to give you like incorrect information or to lead you to incorrect information. These ones in Michigan, no, I don't. So this whole thing about, some of these precincts, there was like 300% more, voter turnout than there were voters or something. It seems to me like that's possible, but I would sure like to know how. You know what I mean? And I don't think that they're going to look at it. I don't think that we're ever going to get the real reason how that happens. But no, here's the thing that to go and look at is the people that made the voting machines Dominion. The whole thing is a conspiracy theory that they stole the election. Well, I've been hearing people say things for years and years about how, they rigged the vote and it has to do with the vote counters and that it's basically who pays the vote counter the most money and stuff like that. But I always was hearing it from Democrats. And it turns out you can go and you can watch John Oliver's show not even a year ago. And he did a whole episode where he talked about how these voting machines from that one specific company were not reliable. Can you believe that? And now everybody, it's like, they're totally, and if you say anything about it, it's like you banned on Twitter, you know? Not saying that they're actually doing it. I'm just saying that Democrats used to complain about it. Well, that last move that I took was kind of foolish, I think. I don't know what I was thinking, man. It was only a little pullback and everything, but I feel dumb about it. I guess they weren't all the way overextended yet, but it sure looks like they're running out of steam, doesn't it? Is it so outside the realm of possibility that because Trump induced hysteria of the $1 billion the Dems raised for the Biden campaign, they spent 50? Oh, come on, I don't know. That's not unbelievable, but it's not proof that it happened. Oh dear. I guess my text-to-speech thing is being slow now. Live Action says, yes, they did complain about a lot of problems with those machines and need a new election. And this is where I'm coming from, is I don't think we should use those machines anymore. I don't think so. Oh, is it not reading it out to you guys? Probably it's not. You can't actually hear them even being read, can you? That's so. I'm so stupid. I should have been using this one. No, because Biden's crowds weren't going to turn out to them because they're afraid of the pandemic, so it can't really be a very good indication of who's more popular. And who's more popular doesn't necessarily tell you who's going to win either.
Live Action says no text not slow, you're now shadow banded. Good vibes.
Ah, there we go.
Live Action says no text not slow, you're now shadow banded. Good vibes.
It's very slow. It's like delayed though. It sucks.
Vlad Stolyarov says BTC 18,049. Luis Alarid says okay, compare Twitter following. Vlad Stolyarov says so not gonna lean heavy into shorts. Armin Sheehan says I recommend everyone to watch the move, Death of a Nation. Gary Rich says let's go back to the old ways of voting. Vote in person and no women or under 21 years old allowed to vote. Make men great again.
No. I wouldn't be opposed to moving the voting age back to 21, to be honest with you. I'm starting to think 20-year-olds don't make very good decisions. I'm starting to think 21-year-olds. I'm starting to think that maybe I shouldn't have been able to vote until I was like 26. Or maybe you could vote before that, but you have to do things like maybe you have to have, taken a test or been involved on a campaign or something, like maybe you can vote earlier than that, but you have to have worked for it. Yeah, that'll never work. You used to have to be a landowner to vote, yeah. Well, but there was problems with that, right? A lot of injustices in America went away after you were allowed to vote, when all people were allowed to vote.
Live Action says you also had to be a landowner to vote.
I'll tell you, one thing that I think is maybe good is, we've been seeing lately this tendency where people are starting to try and vote themselves benefits.
Following Los Angeles Times recommendations.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm still dumb at 35. But people are trying to vote themselves benefits. Like
Rich
these
says
kids I know.
SOI dumb at 21 and less.
These kids, they are literally just voting for Biden because they think that they'll get student loan debt relief. They don't like anything about him or any of his policies. They just think that they're going to get money. They're trying to vote themselves money. But the thing that's good is that it seems like as people have tried to do that more and more, that things have just been gridlocked and nothing ever happens. So maybe people will eventually realize that that doesn't work, and that when we do stuff that's good for everybody, then we can actually get stuff done, and we'll get over that again. But we'll see. It might take a while. I don't think it's going to happen during a Joe Biden administration. Oh, come on. You're so close. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I don't think our win rate's very good today, is it? Well, given that we had 120 tick loser, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 winners, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 losers. So 5 out of 12. So wait, what is 5 divided by 12? Exactly. It is 4166. I thought it was going to be around 40, but I didn't. Or maybe I could have calculated. I'm just so lazy when it comes to mental math, especially if you have to do like timesing. I can add numbers together in my head pretty good, but timesing and dividing, I'm like, no. Pretty crazy day again. Yeah. I'm actually kind of thinking I shouldn't have taken that off, but I started taking them because like I said, wait, let's come back here and bring this back up. Like that one could have been maybe a winner. I don't know. Were there ones that were losers? No. I find it interesting how I usually don't have ones that are both sides. This one was both sides. A little bit of both sides. This one was a little bit favorable and then I scratched it. But, like the amount that I get favorable almost always exceeds the amount adverse, or vice versa by a lot. Like the ones that are bad, like one favorable tick, it's like, that's why I've started to become so much more active in managing it, because it's like I get in and then I should see like a boosh and then I just let it run and it's fine. But if I get in and they kind of go against me and it's still kind of slow, then like those usually don't work out. Are they bouncing off the buyer's cost basis? I think I already missed it, though. I should have taken it at 58 if I wanted to play that one. I really hate it when the text-to-speech reader starts to get slow. I think that what happens is it sends out the requests.
Live Action says ISNT that great your taxes go to pay for art class.
One of the things that drives me crazy is when there are voter initiatives to pay for art stuff. It was like, oh, we need to have this new sales tax so that we can pay for the new theater because art is important. Bullshit. You know what happens is you line your pockets with that money. You go and you do what is essentially a hobby, and you make massive, you make a whole living off of it, off of the taxpayer's dime. And it's like, you could support yourself with the free market, like people going to the shows. Why do you have to use taxpayer money to do it? It's practically theft. I hate that. I'm all about, hey, local government should work together. But
says seems like they love NQ.
And hate ES now. The rotation is so weird today, huh?
Vlad Stolarov
This
says
past
hate
few
us
weeks.
now.
It's just like I think that public-private partnerships can work out really, really well, and that we can make money off of it. But what happens? They do the partnership, and the private people make all of the money, and we never get it back on the taxpayer side. Like, you ain't getting that back. It's a public theater, right? They pay the people
Vlad
to run the
Stolarov
theater,
says
and they don't
CM
pay tax on it.
423.
I guess they pay income tax, but they don't pay.
Vlad Stolarov says TSLA going for 510.
510? Yeah, they were back at 400 before, huh? That's funny. United Airlines says planning a trip does not increase levels of business, and then there's the official sources stated that this is false and misleading.
Vlad Stolarov says 508.15 now.
Okay. So that little buy was a little short-lived.
Live Action says art. 100,000 for a banana on the wall.
That's old stuff.
Gary Rich says new education bill tell on your parents. It takes a village to raise a child by Hillary Clinton.
I mean, below the open, I would maybe think about shorting it, but check out the bonds, though. I haven't seen them like this. To this degree, I don't know. That chart looks kind of familiar, but like, I can't remember the last time this happened. That's got to be like something that was like 2 years ago, you know? So tight, and it comes back across there so easily. Like, the liquidity providers just aren't taking fills in there. You would think that they would be like that, they would love it, but it seems like the market maker has to screw around with everybody to make something happen over there. Well, I guess I'll turn off the text-to-speech thing because it's so slow. One more. Does Jigsaw have its own chart? It has their own charts now. They're not the best, but they are sufficient. And their footprint chart is actually kind of cool. But they're still coming. They're still in beta, so yeah. I saw a funny video in school. Tells teachers parents growing weed at home. Turned out she was talking about actual weeds in their yard. That's funny. They're gonna come down and do this. Now I'll show you. Darn. You mostly trade S&P futures? Yes. These days, at least. I mean, I was always more about the treasuries, but they just haven't been a good trade lately. Honestly, the S&P 500 has been a frustrating trade lately, too. I went through this period, like in the summer, it was like I couldn't lose. It was insane. And now it's past week, I've been having lots of trouble. I've been taking them on sim, but it's been tight. Does Jigsaw allow you to create your own indicators in the platform? No, and I don't think that they ever will. Just from what Pete has said, I don't think that they're ever going to trust other people to add things into the platform and possibly create stability issues. So you're getting this strange descending triangle. Have you ever traded the yen? No. Well, I watch it a lot, though. I don't know. The way that currencies move is, I find, so random. And when you watch the volume on the futures, it's like, wait, what? A completely different game. I really think that I would have to know a lot about Japan to be able to trade the yen, you know? You say Bitcoin is making you rich, I bet. Where is it now? They're still up on the day? Yes. Slightly. Just be careful with that Bitcoin one, man. The one that falls, it'll fall too quickly for you to get out, you know? Yeah, did you actually sell? Until you've sold, you haven't made nothing. What was that last one? Oh, right. That was bad. You think it's only getting started. Okay. No, this is I don't even think that this bubble could really be compared to the 2018 bubble, because they do have like there's been a flippening and all that. Sorry, happening. But, you know, I think that everybody's trying to, once again, everybody's trying to use past data to predict the future. So they all say, well, the last rise in Bitcoin, we increased 100 times. So this should only just be getting started and we should be going to 100,000. And when you actually look at the things that are driving it and the situation and the state of the Bitcoin economy, you realize that that's really the targets that people are looking for are quite unrealistic. The price that it is trading at right now compared to the number of transactions on the blockchain, although we should state that the number of transactions on the blockchain does appear to be rising. But it's at that ratio is at one of the highest levels it's ever been at, comparable to levels that we saw during the Mt. Gox crash. And we all know that that only happened because of a robot that was basically trading on fake money. So that's the situation. Do with it what you will. Hindsight, we should have been long NQ. Did NQ like really take off there? I'm honestly not even sure if like this just looks like this is the buyer cost basis bounce fight. So I think that they'll bounce up, but it looks like they kind of have to sort it out. Now we got about 15 minutes left, 13 minutes left. I've heard of anyone who managed to point the altcoin market because the crypto world is ruled by algos unless you're big enough to make them adjust prices on other exchanges based on the one you're pumping. Yeah, I've certainly seen it. Usually a pump in the crypto space is much more sophisticated than that, though. Like those whole things with like initial coin offerings that were basically pump and dumps, man, that happened a lot. You hear people talking in the background. Could you hear the squawk maybe? Maybe you might hear it coming out of my headphones and back into the speaker. I don't know. You weren't hearing the squawk, were you? No, so that's a problem if you can hear the squawk. No, we're okay. We're okay. Read the book. Blah, 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 blah. I don't think I have time for that, to be honest with you. I've got other things I'm reading right now. I don't know. I'm kind of avoiding talking about it now because when we went through this in 2018, I literally called it. Like I said, listen, it's overvalued, and the Bitcoin futures going live, that's going to create more sell pressure on the market. This is a good place to sell, and we called it 100%. Did anybody come back and remember or give me any gratitude for it? No. Was like, yeah, it was cool. Like that stream helped the channel, but I can talk about Bitcoin all we want. I don't think it's going to change anything. So I'm just like, I can tell you, here's where it is. It happens or it doesn't happen. Clear, obviously, even though I've been able to do this, even though this model has been able to help us call 3 midterm tops, hasn't given us bottoms really, but even though it's been able to call 3 midterm tops, none of you care. And then you go, oh, Seth, what does the model say? Because I think that the model works very well. No, you all seem to think that you know something smarter. So it's like, why is it even worth talking about? I took that off because it was the range stop. So Ace says, Seth, I totally credit you with keeping me out of Bitcoin. There you go. That's funny. I don't think that I don't see you doing that anyway. Oh man. The thing I find so frustrating about it is that if we're correct and it really is like a tether pump, they would be doing so much better if they just let the market take its natural course, moved down to 3,000, bottom out, and then you could have bought it with a good risk reward. And hey, allow people to actually like use the coin so that there's more popularity. If they had increased the blockchain, we would have been past 20K long before now. It's just like the whole thing is just, it's frustrating AF. It happens in market all the time. You have a person, they come in, they make a trade, they're successful with the trade, they think they know what's going on, when what they're looking at is probably random. It's like, at least show me. Like, I just think the whole idea of like doing a measured move, that it did that last time, it doesn't mean that it's going to do that. Seth, if you called 3 tops, why didn't you short it with futures contracts? Because I don't have $100,000, or I totally would have. Every single fucking time, man. Every one of those times here on stream, we went out and we looked at it, and we looked at what it would take to be able to short it, and there wasn't a acceptable method of shorting it that was within my price range or within my risk tolerance, or I would have done it. And if it had ever given me a bottom, which it didn't, and I wish that it did, but if it had ever given me a bottom, I would have bought in, but it never did that. But you can go back to the Patreon, post almost these days. I don't post it every day because you don't get an update every day, but all of those major areas and where I've called it and everything are all there. You can go back and follow them. 3 years worth now. And that's just kind of where it's like, oh, yeah, you keep 3 years worth of it. You have a pretty good feel of how it's going. Even on this rise, I actually had a pretty good feel for like when it turned and they were about to start a bull run again and everything. Of course, I can't necessarily say how far it's going to go, but, you know, nobody cares. Whatever. But that's just kind of why I'm like, it's the hype. So you come in and you say, oh, I got it. You should all, because what you're saying is you should all buy it. That's what it sounds like to me, is you guys are all saying, I'm long Bitcoin and you should all buy it too. And I just think that that's an incredibly awful reason to buy something. I actually did buy it 6K. Like, do you not remember that? Let's go look back and look at that. Well, I can just show it with you on this chart. I don't think we doubled our money. I think we made like 30%. I think it's so funny. I've done literally everything that I could do. Like, that's the thing. I have a model. Like, I have this math and historical expectancy to explain to you why Bitcoin moves the way that it does and why when it's likely to fall down and everything. And it doesn't convince you. People look at a chart and they say, it went this far, so it's going to go this far again. And they all buy that. And what could I possibly ever say to people to convince them that it doesn't work that way? And the reality is there's literally nothing that I could ever say, because you're not actually looking at the facts of it. You're not actually looking at the system and investigating it and saying, okay, well, let's look at what Seth's system actually does and says and the theory behind it and come up with reasons for why it is or isn't a good system to trade off of. I never hear any of that. It's always just like, well, I'm in it and I think other people should be in it too. So what does that tell you? You're not actually in it for a logical reason. It's not a real trade. You're in it for emotional reasons because you bought Bitcoin and you're already married to the trade, or you bought it before you made money and so you think you're a genius trader and you can catch it again. And here I keep records about it. I post this chart every fucking day and everybody's still trying to get you to FOMO in here. I thought that I taught this channel better. Huh? Whatever. What did I do last time? The trades that we made, we said short here. We got out of that. We said long. No, it was long here. We caught that one, that little move right there. That one was actually kind of interesting. Like the whole way that it ended up turning out is kind of interesting in the long run, because we got this little move right here. And then we said, well, you know, everybody was saying, okay, here's the thing. It's going to go higher. When was that? Early 2019? Was it? I think so. Everybody said, oh, it's going to go higher. And I'm like, no way. Like, look at where they never came back to a reasonable value was the whole thing. I want to see him down here. They never did it. Okay. So then what happened? They came up here and we called it again. We said it's above the level. It's going to come back because it's in a bubble territory. And so what do you know? It came back. And then it started coming again. And then this was the pandemic right here. And then, you know, after this move right here was about the point Or I said, well, it looks like in the short term that they're headed on the way up and that they're not going to come down to value. So, but now here again, I'm telling you, I'm calling it. That's the call. It's going to crash again. It's really hard for me to, really truly know exactly where it's going to come back to or what the degree of that thing is, but I would expect it should come back to something like 10K. How is that value calculated? It is based off of a number of things, but the largest component and the thing that I can tell you so that you can understand what the fundamental basis for the system is daily transaction volume. In other words, the theory is that a cryptocurrency is worth something because you can make transactions with it, and therefore its value is proportional to how many transactions are actually happening on the blockchain at any one time. And when the price comes out of whack with that actual transaction value on the blockchain, then you get a bubble and it crashes. BTC might actually be turning into a counterplay against currency debasement. Maybe. Well, yeah, you would think so, but I don't know. Like the question is, where is the money coming from? Is then you go and trace the money, right? Because if you go and trace the money, what you're going to find is that it's all coming from Tether. So are tons of really large institutions getting in on Tether, and that's why it's moving the way that it is? Well, that's what the claim is, but we know in the past that they've loaned Tether out, and that at one point it was like not even 40% backed, I think it was. And we know that Tether is in court recently and that they're doing everything they can to avoid having to open their books up to the public. So I don't know. Well, now Gary says that transaction analysis is such a lagging indicator. There is going to be some lag to it for sure. But that's where I'm kind of like, they can run up into this line, right? Like this line should start coming up. I would expect to see this line start coming up, but then eventually it'll flatten out and go like this, right? In order for this to turn into the bull run that you guys are talking about, it's gonna have to go like this. Because I keep hearing people say 10K and so on and so forth. It's unrealistic in my opinion. The New York Attorney General has blah, 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 blah. Fact of the matter is that they're going to be forced to put their books out. And what are you going to find? I think you should be scared. I think you should be concerned about it. Where are your flows data coming from? So I am pulling data from a number of sources. So one thing that I will tell you, for instance, is that if you look at daily transaction value, there's a bunch of different ways that you look at it. And there's a lot of things going on. For instance, you put money into a shuffler and it just, moves money between a bunch of accounts and then takes it somewhere else. And that's not really actually like real transactions happening, right? So you have to filter things. I do hate a lot of things. That's true, Gary. But you know what I hate the most is I hate when people are incredibly overconfident about something without an actual real argument. That's what I hate the most. It's like, I think that the response to this is like, okay, we have a model. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Because you're looking at the history of it isn't necessarily any guarantee of anything, is it? Well, then I would expect to hear something back like, here's my model. Here's a model that I've used, and it says that we're going to go to 10K. But I don't really think that the majority of people that have bought Bitcoin have actually done that kind of an analysis. I think they're buying it because they have a fundamental skepticism or hatred for central banking, and they usually tend to be somebody that fundamentally thinks that the world is going to fall apart and that eventually all fiat currency will be worthless and that Bitcoin will eventually take its rightful place as the basis of the planetary monetary system. Which is the dumbest thing that I've ever heard, and I can't believe that there are so many people out there that buy into it. And if you actually believe that, I just would not recommend trading. It's probably not for you because your understanding of economics is just incredibly flawed and wrong. But lots of people did it in 2018, and I'm sure that lots of people will continue to do it. But that's why I always get into this, because it's like, how many times do I have to come in here and be like, here's what's going to happen. Everybody says, no, you're wrong, Seth. Argue with them about a stream. That's the other thing that's crazy, is that those other 2 calls that I made, I guess it was 2 calls, wasn't it? The other calls that I made, you all argued with me about it. Everybody on stream said I was wrong. Everybody on Reddit said I was wrong. It's like, I don't care what you guys say unless you have something about how to make the model better, more realistic. And it's like, I'm right. And then you're right so many times and they still don't believe you. It's so frustrating. Okay, I asked you a simple factor with your BTC analysis. I was calculating the volatility of it. How can you not factor that into your analysis? Because volatility does not matter to value. Am I wrong? Tesla can be a really volatile stock. That doesn't change the fact that, in your opinion, it's insolvent. And the volatility does get factored into it in other ways, because there are some of those inputs that are going to be affected by the volatility. So even a broken clock is right twice a day. Okay. I'm wrong a lot on my scalping trades. I think that the reality of it is that a lot of the things that we look at as retail traders when we're trying to trade on very short time frames is absolute nonsense and random. I think that I made the 2 best calls that you probably could have made in Bitcoin. And then there was a 3rd call that I didn't make that would have been the long that, well, oh well. I was really waiting for true value. But you know what? If it's being pumped up by Tether, you're probably never going to get that until the Tether thing falls apart, right? And that's really the only explanation I can think of for the way that it's been behaving lately. That's a long time about the value or intrinsic. Well, I should have told you that the intrinsic value of Bitcoin is that you can transfer it to somebody else. It's the only reason that it has any value. If you can't give it to somebody else, it's not valuable. Because, if it was like it was attached to your personage, it transfers to you, and now it's ingrained in your DNA and only you can ever own it after that, it would be worthless. It only has value because you give it to other people. And if I didn't give that answer, then you're misconstruing what was said or what the question was asked, because I've been asked that over 1 trillion times since we've been streaming in the past 3 years, and that's the answer that I always give. I love the idea of cyber money. I just wish the government will leave it alone. Well, that's another thing. Is if, like, many people have brought this up, lately, but this whole idea that Bitcoin is going to overtake fiat currency, they literally can't, because a government can just ban Bitcoin if it has to. You know what I mean? Well, I thought that, if you were to ask me a year ago, I might have said that it wasn't to the price that I wanted, but that probably at some point in the future it will go higher. Sure. But now I'm saying that the risk reward is not in your favor. And that the most likely scenario here is that after the seasonal bull run completes, that you're probably going to see a pretty significant decline in price. I'm fine with it taking over money. I just wish the government would agree to let it run. Yeah. But that's brings us to argument 2. And this is the thing that's so funny about it, right? Is that Bitcoin is inherently deflationary. And if an economy was based on Bitcoin, then anytime that you had a recession, you would have no way to restart. It would be a depression. It basically becomes a depression every time that we become overvalued. And since that's like the nature of Bitcoin. So then what do? The whole reason that we have a Federal Reserve is so that we can control the supply of money and inflate assets so that you can get things going again. And so what did they do in Bitcoin? They started printing Tether. And that's not like some conspiracy theory. Court documents prove that at one point, shortly after the last crash, that Tether was not backed, that they were literally making money out of thin air by loaning it to traders. Exactly what the Federal Reserve does. So they make this whole currency to get away from fiat currency, and then what do? They do the exact same thing that they're complaining that the fiat currencies do. And you want to get more involved in that. I'm just like, no, like, I'll trade it. But if you're a true believer in Bitcoin, I really have to question how much you understand about economics and trading. Like, seriously. At this point, as long as that Tether thing is going on. Of course, at some point, the federal government is going to make a cryptocurrency. They said that they're in no rush, but it's happening. And then who knows? I'm be interesting to see when that comes up, how Bitcoin will react. I'm going to bet that Bitcoin will say, oh, this is good for Bitcoin, even though, removes one of the most significant reasons to use Bitcoin. Yeah, they burn Tether also. Yeah, that does happen. Because if somebody does a, what do you call it? A redemption, then they have to burn it, right? Although, have you looked at how much Tether they're printing? It's quite crazy. Okay. I'm done. We should give this a awful title so that nobody ever watches it. No. Tight. Tether is nothing more than a stable currency that allows people to remain fully inside. No, wrong. It's literally the Federal Reserve of Bitcoin. We argue about. I'll just say we argue about Bitcoin again. I hate everything. I hate all sorts of things. Gary, I do. I hate people coming in and saying you should do X thing, and then You go and you back test it, and it's total bullshit. I'm so sick of it. I'm just sick of it. I just wish that we could talk about things that actually have like some degree of, provable edge. Like news. No, nobody ever wants. Oh, news is bullshit. There you go. I know that there's a terrible thought, but I care more about that it was a tight morning range, because it seems like what's happening is the volatility is going down during the RTH morning session when all the day traders are there, and then they wait for us to all go away and they do it into the close or in the overnight session. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Stay profitable, friends.